What's up? So CPI numbers just came out recently, and inflation's on the mind. So I wanted to do a little bit of, I guess, a bull session, talking my thoughts, and talking about a theory I have regarding inflation that I haven't seen anyone mention. That I think that I came up with myself, but maybe someone else has more insight into it. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on why I think that inflation. First of all, I don't really see CPI being a good indicator or like a reliable indicator on inflation, just because CPI also incorporates supply and demand, right? So just because things are more in demand doesn't necessarily mean that inflation is high. For example, let's say eggs, right? There's cycles. So when there's the bird flu or whatever, and then chicken eggs go really up in price, that's because they have low supply, and then there's an equal demand. So that doesn't necessarily have to do with anything with necessarily inflation, but that is incorporated into those numbers of CPI. So the theory I had on inflation is, what if inflation is just going to be a complete and utter doom spiral that will just create more and more inflation? Whether or not that's going to be detrimental to the economy or detrimental to the country, that's a different topic for a different video. But I wanted to talk about this idea that, so everyone knows, how do you counter inflation? You buy assets, right? That's whether that's gold, that's stocks, that's real estate, that's crypto, right? It doesn't matter what, but the prevailing solution to inflation is just buy assets. Now, in my opinion, the problem with that is when you have all these people that are learning to deal with inflation by just buying assets, then you're locking up money, right? So in my mind, this might just be a bunch of word jargon or word jumble, but as I see it, I feel that the divide between wealthy and poor is getting worse and worse. And when you have more and more money being concentrated in the upper middle class, the upper class, the elites, then all that money is going to be put into assets, right? Whether that's stocks, cryptocurrency, gold, as I said before. The problem with that is that money is no longer in circulation. So if that money is not in circulation and you still have this group of people, this population of poorer people, lower middle class, lower class, those people, they don't have enough money to divide amongst themselves, right? Doesn't that force the Fed's hand to print more money? Because even if you print a lot of money, if half the money that you print is just going to go into assets and just stay there in either someone's brokerage accounts, someone's savings accounts, in bond, in whatever, in cryptocurrency, that money doesn't come out. So isn't that if we buy assets to counter inflation, we're just creating more inflation by forcing the Fed to create more money in order to accommodate the people that don't have enough money? And I don't know, I just see, like, is this just a doom spiral? I don't know. So whether or not this is, again, as I said before, I don't think that inflation is necessarily, everyone and their mom is just saying inflation is going to ruin the entire country, everything's going to go to shit, right? I'm not, that's going to be a different video, but basically my thought is, currency, the word currency has a word current in it, right? All money is a vessel to trade goods for assets, assets for goods, assets for assets, or goods for goods, or services for service, or whatever, right? Any type of permutation of that, or any type of combination of that. It doesn't matter whether or not the money is falling or rising, as long as you're not staying in money. If you're always holding assets and you only use money as a form of simplified bartering, where you just find a common good, you stay in that state of money for a little bit before you instantly change it for something else, then it doesn't matter how much inflation occurs, right? It doesn't matter if a dollar is $10 million tomorrow, because you're holding your assets, and then you're only switching to dollars to instantly switch to whatever else you want. So that's kind of my opinion on that. So I don't see how everyone is just saying, like, money is going to inflate away to nothingness, and then we're all going to be screwed. It is a problem. It definitely is a problem, especially for people that don't really know how to invest, don't know how to buy assets, and they're just hoarding money, putting it under the mattress, putting it in a low yield savings account or something like that, unless you're doing that, I don't see the problem with inflation. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, and maybe some of you guys will just teach me in the comments, but that's my opinion. I don't see how necessarily detrimental inflation is if you are not just hoarding and like stockpiling cash, if that makes sense, right? Even if your money is in a high yield savings account, at least it's still somewhat combating inflation. And I ran out of memory space. Anyways, so what I was saying. So it's only if the rate of inflation increases dramatically really quickly, that's when it's a problem. When you're hoarding cash and all of a sudden it just happens immediately and you just don't know what happened, right? So that's the only time. And I think that happens. We saw a glimpse of that in COVID when everyone just had a lot of money, right? They were just stockpiling money because you couldn't do anything with it. And then after people were released from their homes and they could do something, instantly everyone wanted to buy all the goods, all the services, because they were restricted from doing so in the past 2-3 years. That's when we saw a sudden inflow of just cash just injected into the market all at once. And that's when we see a big problem with inflation. That's my opinion. So again, going back to this asset thing, basically you see that if people keep complaining about inflation, we're just going to keep seeing people buy assets, removing money from circulation, reducing the velocity of money, which basically forces the federal government to print more money. If you print more money, or not the federal government, but the federal bank, to print more money so that people can actually use it. This is actually why I'm not a proponent, why I actually really do not like and do not believe in trickle-down economics. It's because when you give money to the people that already have money, half the time they're just going to buy assets. And then when you buy assets, it's just, your money's just locked up there. Because, like, honestly, like, when it goes into a brokerage account, you're going to either buy Apple or Tesla or whatever other stock, right? You're not going to take it out to buy a hamburger, right? Velocity money goes down the drain, and then that forces the Fed to print more money. So that was just the theory of inflation I had, just randomly. So I don't know necessarily if this is even the case. I know there's a lot of different theories for inflation. There's a lot of different reasons for inflation, and there's a lot of different things that cause inflation, right? There's a lot of different causes of inflation. But could this be a problem that we're overlooking? I don't know. I just wanted to share that thought. Maybe one of you guys have an answer. All right, that's it. Have a good day. Bye.